Welcome to Make Workshop, where we check out tools, toys, and tech built for makers. Today, we're going to play with a CNC foam cutter that fits on your desktop. This is the Polyshaper Oranje. It's a CNC hot wire foam cutter. That means it uses a very thin wire with electricity flowing through it to get hot to cut through foam. You can use this to do all kinds of cool things. But before we show off some of that, let's look at the construction. Out of the box, there's some basic assembly required. You've got to put the two axes together and then assemble the feet, but really it's extremely easy. There was nothing overly complex or complicated involved here. There was actually only one stepper motor wire to plug in. After you've got the machine assembled, you download the software from their website, which includes a plugin for Inkscape. So you can bring your 2D designs into Inkscape and export them for the cutter. Now, this is a hot wire foam cutter, which means you're effectively working in 2D. You come up with your 2D design, you export it, and this cuts in 2D. Now, of course, you can make 3D shapes. That just requires a little bit of forward thinking and maybe some additional software help to create pieces that interlock together, but the machine itself functions mainly in 2D. You can tilt your file, your stock a little bit to one side to get an angled cut, but that's really the extent of its 3D abilities on the machine itself. However, just being 2D doesn't mean this isn't still awesome. This is really cool. The examples that they show of things that you can do with this are stencils and decorations of various types and you know, stock shapes that can then be glued together to do different things. It cuts incredibly precisely, cleanly. Things look fantastic. This has a working area of 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters, which is about 20 inches by 20 inches. Now, as far as the width of your material, here's 1 inch foam that I was feeding through it. And this is probably about as thick as I would go just because it's easy to find. But looking at the machine, it looks like you could feed almost 3-inch wide foam through it without issue. Being able to design for that though is left up to you. You really need to do the work to design the things in 3D. So you're either gonna have to draw them up in Inkscape or use something like a plugin for Fusion or a program called Luban or something like that to create your interlocking 3D files. Operation is fairly simple though. You draw up your designs in Inkscape in 2D and you export them to the machine and it cuts them. This machine doesn't have the polish on the software side that you might expect if you've been playing with 3D printing and all the slicing there. You're gonna have to figure out, you know, Inkscape and then exporting it from the GCode from Inkscape out to their software, and then their software pretty much only has like the temperature at which the wire is gonna be and then a go button and a stop button. It's not real complicated. But then again, there's not a whole lot of variables involved in cutting this foam. As you can see, you can cut a variety of materials, pretty much anything that the hot wire will go through. But that brings up something that you need to pay attention to. It is a hot wire melting through a material. So be sure that you have proper ventilation because you are melting these materials, and regardless of what material you use, the fact is you don't want to breathe melted stuff. Even if it's not the most toxic version of the material, you still don't want to breathe it. So make sure you've got good ventilation. I could absolutely see this machine existing in a makerspace or in a classroom. The fact that you can produce something like this so quickly, the whole word make only took maybe a minute and a half to cut, that has value, and the ability for, you know, students to be able to cut things very rapidly is very cool, and at a price that is going to be much cheaper than a laser cutter. Of course, you can't cut as many things with this as you could a laser cutter, but again, different price range. So very cool product, very cool tool for a maker. The price for this is 349 euros currently. They do have other models available as well. If you would like to check out more about the company and more about this machine, be sure to go to their website, which is polyshaper.eu. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it. I think that thing is so cool. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Click that little notification bell so that you can get notified anytime we put out a new video. We've got some really cool stuff on the way.